Well, let's continue to unpack what exactly unfolded in court today. Joining us from our Cape Town studios is forensic consultant and regular guest here on eNCA, Mr. David Klatzow. David, good to talk to you again. It's been some time since you and I spoke. As far as expert witnesses go, how difficult is it to choose someone to come back after Oscar Pistorius for the defense and fill up some of the gaps he left behind?
Well, it's very difficult. Oscar did himself no favors while he was on the stand. That's the first problem. And he's made many, many elementary errors that are going to cause him to be a sad man in a few days' time or a few weeks' time. But it's very difficult to recover from that in any way, shape or form. And it's important that if you are going to put experts on the stand, that they are experts in the field that they are giving testimony in. And I think we had a very fine example this morning and later on in the afternoon, although I saw very little of the afternoon testimony, of a witness who was straying outside his field of expertise. And that is a very dangerous thing to do as a witness. Ballistics is a field on its own. Unless you study it, unless you do lots of shooting, unless you shoot and test wound ballistics, unless you've done plenty of that, you shouldn't be giving testimony. Unless you are an acoustics engineer, you shouldn't be talking about the way sound travels, because it is not a simple business of simply putting up a microphone and measuring the sound as it travels. And just to give you one example, the sound made by a pistol shot is effectively 1,000 times louder than the sound made by a bat on door. Now, if you are close to the two sounds, then you may not be able to distinguish them. But those sounds drop off with distance. And you need somebody who knows about acoustics and the way the sound is attenuated by distance in order to give that evidence. And Roger Dixon isn't the right man to do it. He shouldn't have been there. And the other thing, of course, is that, sorry,
David,
he should never have been contradicting. Yeah, he should never have been contradicting Gert Simon. He wasn't at the post-mortem. He's not a wound ballistician. He's not a wound pathologist. He should not have been in that field. So it's not great for his credibility.
Sorry, David, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let me apologize to you and the viewers. I was going to ask you about the state's witnesses that they brought in, the way that that particular evidence had been led. How then do you suppose that they can use someone like this expert witness, as we've now been told, Dixon, on the stand? He himself admitting he's not an expert in forensics. He's not an expert in pathology. What does he even add at all to this case? Well,
this is his problem. You see, the moment he concedes that he's not an expert, his testimony in terms of the way the law works is really of very little value whatsoever, because he's offering opinion testimony. And if his opinion evidence is that of somebody who's not an expert, he's really no better than a layperson. And I suspect that the court may very well be inclined to disregard his evidence at all, because lay people are not entitled to give opinion evidence unless the circumstances are very, very special. That is the peculiar area where an expert is given and granted that dispensation to give opinion evidence based on his specialized knowledge. And you have to demonstrate to the court, and in fact Gerrie Nel demonstrated rather spectacularly that Roger Dixon is not an expert in the areas in which he's testifying. So I should imagine, and I would not at all be surprised, if the court totally disregards his evidence. And it's a great pity, because he's a good geologist, and it's a pity that he's seen fit to stray outside his bailiwick of expertise.
Gerrie Nel, just as a final question to you, Mr. Klatzow, if I could, a fairly brief one, if I may, suggesting that Dixon had not even read all of the material available to him. I think the word was he read through it, he browsed through some of the reports that were given to him before he came to give evidence. And this doesn't look good at all for him in his speciality, in his field of what he does, nor does it look good for the defense. And possibly in part of your answer, how do you think Barry Rue now tries to fix this particular problem?
Well, to simply browse through the evidence and then to concede to that is not only irresponsible, but it's foolish. You don't browse through evidence. You examine it minutely with a fine tooth comb. If he hasn't done that, he shouldn't be on the stand. And If that is his evidence that he's given today, and I missed that bit of the evidence, then he's irredeemable. And I don't know what Barry Roux could do except to ditch him.
As quickly as possible, some experts are saying as well. Always a pleasure talking to you, David Klatzow from our Cape Town studios. It's a forensic consultant joining us to unpack just some of the evidence that was put through. And as I suggested, very detailed, very scientific and intricate evidence. We'll unpack that a lot more later this evening with Karen Morn and Kathy Mohaglana. A lot more of what the interactions were between the state prosecutor and the defence witness. Well, the SA...
Know more about your world. eNCA.com.